Let me greet you all today on the launch of this year's Integrated Public Service Month, which marks an auspicious occasion in our country or in our country's public administration landscape. The 25th anniversary of Batupili. The Batupili White Paper is a framework of the transformation of the public service. It's very important these years which we're talking about. And listening to the chairperson, no, it was not the chairperson, it was the CEO of Freedom Park, when she said, whatever we're doing, we were saying everything is done in Pretoria. Those who were in the struggle, they know. Our song was saying, Siya Epito. Siya Epito. Siya Epito. Siya Epito. Oh, Siya Epito. Siya Epito. Siya Epito. Thank you. The significance of this, that's what was said here at the beginning. It's a very important city. It was identified with oppression. Now it's a symbol of liberation, a symbol of hope. Where are our people when things have been referred to Pretoria? There's hope. So in recognition of this important milestone, the theme of the 2022 Integrated Public Service Month, it has been rightly framed as Batupili revitalization, walking the talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you who have come out today to participate in this important event. Being here today grants us an opportunity to celebrate the Public Service Month and to socialize as a cadre of workers committed to delivering quality services to the people of our magnificent country. As you know, government adopted the Batupili program in 1997 as a direct response to the 1996 Constitution that sets out the values and the principles of public administration in our country. These values and principles explicitly put citizens at the center of our public administration. It is thus befitting that the theme of this Integrated Public Service Month should focus on the revitalization of the Batupili program through a strategy that calls on all of us to act in partnership across the nation to build citizen-centered public service that is professional, responsive, caring, and committed to promoting a sense of belonging amongst all of us who live in South Africa. Just as a preamble, of our Constitution. The Batupili Revitalization Strategy adopted by Cabinet on the 9th of March 2022 enjoins all of us to act and to do, and more specifically, to act in the interest of the citizen, to do what needs to be done to deliver quality services to everyone. The Batupili Revitalization Strategy is therefore a reaffirmation of the significance of Batupili program in transforming the public service, while securing the maximum benefits for citizens in line with their constitutional rights to be treated with dignity, courtesy, and to receive quality and sustainable public services. Maybe ask your conscience, khulume nonembeza wakho. Lesixhosa ubuze isazela sakho. Don't look at your senior. Are you treating those you are supposed to be servicing with dignity, respect, and courtesy? Maybe the question you must ask yourself, am I building or destroying the nation? Just ask that question to yourself, not to somebody else. Maybe your conscience will tell you something. The theme of this year's Public Service Month serves to remind us all that walking the talk concerning the revitalization of the Batupili program is uncomplicated and straightforward. It simply requires us to do things that will make an important difference to the lives or to the people's lives. Ask yourself a question. Do you come to work on time? Do you take your break on time and come back on time? Are you up to your task which has been given to you? It's simple things. Simple things. Those people, when they come into my office or wherever, when they leave, even if they didn't get what they want, they leave the office satisfied? Do they leave happy or even more frustrated? Not because they didn't get what they want, but because of your attitude. These are the basic things you must ask yourself today. Don't ask anybody else, just ask yourself. It's not about your senior, it is about what you are doing to another person. And I'm saying these include the following 5 actions or pillars that are outlined in Batupili Revitalization Strategy. Taking the lead by building the capacity of the public service and learning from the past and the current Batupili implementation practices. Developing and implementing context-specific Batupili standards and communication approaches in consultation with a diversity of stakeholders. Fostering compliance with agreed to and publicized Batupili standards through appropriate monitoring of compliance tools. Reinforcement of Batupili standards through the appropriate measures where there's evidence of poor and non-compliance with publicized standards. And lastly, redress for citizens who are at the center of the government's constitutional obligations. The operationalization of the aforementioned 5 pillars does, however, require a team effort. Hence, Batupili revitalization strategy calls on all of us to act in a partnership across the nation as we walk the talk of making a difference to the lives or to the people's lives. What does Batupili mean to you? What does it mean to you? Go and give your own meaning. You might be chanting it on a daily basis, but you are not walking the talk. As far back as 2013, the Diagnostic Review of the National Planning Commission identified uneven capacity within and between government departments as a challenge and a potential threat to the ability of the public service to deliver quality services throughout the country. As a responsive government, we've been addressing this specific challenge through a variety of targeted capacity building interventions by the DPSA in partnership with the National School of Government, including initiatives such as the District Development Model that was launched in 2019 by His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa to ensure improved planning, integration within government and between government and social partners in order to strengthen the capacity of the state. Notwithstanding these interventions, I believe that our public service has inherent capacity to walk the talk and deliver on its constitutional obligations to citizens. I know this, and you know this too, because we've seen the remarkable progress made in service delivery since the democratization in 1994, and more so since the Batupili program was introduced in 1997. But there are people, when they are frustrated, who will say, apartheid never treated us like this. There are people who are saying that. It is because of frustration. I do not want to go into detail of this progress, as this has been well documented in scholarly studies, such as the service delivery in the South African Public Service 2005 by Professors Naidu and Koye, and empirical studies such as the 25-year review of the service delivery performance of the Democratic Government of South Africa 2018 by the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. These and other similar studies should bolster our confidence that the public service has the necessary capacity to walk the talk and make even greater progress in improving the service delivery and creating a citizen-centric public service which, as you know, is the hallmark of the capable and responsible state. And all the necessary ingredients are in place. We have supporting legislation, policies and regulations that are reviewed regularly. We have skilled, competent and resourceful officials on the job. working daily at the coalface of service delivery amid serious constraints. And most importantly, we have a collective awareness that no one will do for us what we do for ourselves. This awareness has been confirmed here today as we gathered side by side in unison, conscious of our extraordinary capacity to deliver when we work together. Ladies and gentlemen, our freedom was not free. It was hard work. People died. For this reason, we must walk the talk and defend our freedom against the scourge of corruption that is eroding our democratic values and our dream of being a capable, ethical, and a developmental state. We've said a lot about corruption in this country, affecting both politicians and public servants. But you must know that corruption is stealing from the poor. The poor have no other hope except the state. So when you steal, when you are corrupt in the public service, you are stealing from the poor, whose hope is the state. As government, we've introduced the National Anti-Corruption Strategy as a necessary response to this rampant corruption. That's why I've said, even if you're a teacher in a school, you're a nurse in a clinic or hospital, you're a policeman in a police station, you're a warder in a correctional center, you're a clerk in a department, you're a director in a department, you're a chief director, a DDG, a DG, or even a minister. But you must ask yourself, a person, am I building or destroying this nation? Ask your conscience, I repeat it. We recognize that this anti-corruption strategy will only succeed if we work in partnership with our compatriots in the private sector and civil society, who are as committed as we are to the South Africa, characterized by high standards of integrity and respect of the rule of law. We also acknowledge that you, our public servants, are our first line of defense against corruption. You are entrusted with managing state resources for the public benefit. You know their interworkings of the public institution. It is your skills and vigilance we rely on to safeguard our resources from misuse and abuse. We therefore encourage you to speak out and report any wrongdoing that you may be aware of. This may be indeed a tall order to speak out. Some end up being killed for speaking out. And given the findings of the 2022 ethics survey, it shows that you have highlighted fear of speaking up as the greatest concern you have about the ethical culture of the public service. But to win this war against corruption, we will have to speak out. Not for our sake, for the sake of the future of the country, for the sake of our children, all of us. We must walk the talk as we fight corruption and build a capable, ethical, and developmental state that puts people and their needs at the center of our work. The other greater concern you've highlighted in the 2022 ethics survey is that the right people aren't promoted. The right people are unpromoted because of nepotism, because of favoritism, because of corruption. Some demand sex favors from women in order to promote them. Some want to be paid. And things do not go. And a donkey cannot work like the horse. The consequences are that we are going to frustrate the service delivery. We must address this concern as a matter of urgency. We cannot professionalize the public service in the context where poorly qualified individuals are being parachuted into position through political patronage. These practices, wherever they occur, are inconsistent with constitutional principles that underpin public administration, and they must be accordingly stopped. Qualification doesn't mean many degrees from the universities. Yes, it's part of it. But there are other requirements which we need. Because other people think that by having many degrees, therefore, they are fit. And they go around boasting about their degrees instead of delivering quality service. They must understand that not very long, they will also be regarded as unqualified. Today's standard would not be tomorrow's standard. That is why it's important that there must be continuous improvement from all the public servants. Which we saw in the papers, that thousands of public servants are not qualified at management level. It was put out of context. Those were the people who were employed long ago, and in terms of those standards, they qualify. But the new regulations are putting new requirements now. But when they analyze this in the papers, they are not safe. Today those who had diplomas at that time qualified and got those positions. Today, those who are having degrees and postgraduate degrees seems to be the requirement. But it doesn't mean that we will throw away those people who have long been in the public service. Some are left with a few years before they go to retirement. But continuous improvement is very important. That's why all of us must be ready to learn, must be ready to study, must be ready to improve and professionalize ourselves. Because your qualification is not always relevant all the time. And I think this issue must be addressed properly. And ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate the 25th anniversary of Batupili White Paper as a framework for transformation of the public service delivery in South Africa. We are also celebrating the 25th anniversary of our Constitution that was signed into law by President Nelson Mandela. Our Constitution, the Constitution's injunction that public administration must be governed by its core values, including a set of principles specific to public administration, is indicative of wide-ranging scope of constitutionalism in our system of public administration. These principles not only reflect the idea of open, accountable, and transparent government, they represent specific norms about accountability, a standard of professional ethics, transparency, public participation, unbiased and equitable service delivery, a developmental orientation, responsiveness to the people's needs, timely access to the accurate information, and optimal and economic use of public resources. Congratulations, Professor Fikeni, for being appointed by the President as the chair of the PSC. Sithemba kuzawusincedisa Nxesi. Ezi ziqu zakho kuthethwa ngazo sithemba zizawusincedisa. Amanye amadoda aneziqu kodwa akancedisi. But, and I think you raised this matter, we're talking about accurate information. We're talking about digitization and digitalization. If we're still having in government such a poor ICT, how are we going to fast-track service delivery? Everybody now is talking IT, ICT. Everybody is talking about digitization. But come to government, exactly the issues you are raising. And we pay millions for this ICT. Why are we not improving? Since I joined the executive in 2010, I don't know of any department which is not complaining about our IT system in government. Why? Why? Imagine those people who are queuing at Home Affairs now. If you have to be served by 12 o'clock, it means you must be there at 5 o'clock, queuing. Same with the department which I'm heading, the compensation fund of the UIF. How far would we be if we digitize all our offices? I think there's a lot. We have to do a lot of self-reflection as government. If we are serious about improving service delivery, it can't be that we're going to use the old methods of giving service delivery to our people. If we're talking about modern times, even our tools must be modern. We must wake up and smell the coffee. And this issue of accountability goes to all of us, whether you're a politician, we're in senior management, we're at middle management or supporting level, all of us have to be accountable. These norms I've talked about speak to the depth of constitutionalism in our public institution or public administration system. But it also speaks to the obligation of the public servants to develop standards that will enable us to objectively measure the extent to which we succeed in implementing our constitutional norms for public administration. The explicitness of constitutionalism in public administration is certainly an accomplishment we should all be proud of as we walk the talk of developing and implementing the public administration standards consistent with the constitutional principles for public administration. But wait, we must also take pride in our accomplishment of having in place a public service charter, which is a social contract between the state and the public servants, clarifying their respective roles and responsibilities for working towards improving the service delivery to citizens and building a capable, development-oriented public service. It cannot be about our rights only. Yes, we have our rights, but our rights must go with responsibilities. Some people forget that rights should be balanced with responsibilities. It can't just be about rights. People scream their rights and say less about their responsibilities. All of us, from top down, we have rights and responsibilities. The significance, therefore, of the Public Service Charter is that it enables citizens to have a clear understanding of what they can expect from the state in terms of realizing their constitutional rights and service delivery needs. The Public Service Coordinating Bargaining Council Summit on Collective Bargaining held in Emperor's Palace Conference Center. That was at the end of March 2022, endorsed the Public Service Charter. But it's useless to sing the charter. We don't live it. We don't walk the talk. And Article 5 of the Public Service Charter identifies the service standards that the public servants must meet when fulfilling their constitutional obligations and service delivery. These service standards and the obligation of the service or the public servants to meet these standards and segues into my earlier remarks that public servants should develop standards that will enable us to objectively measure the extent to which we have succeed in implementing our constitutional norms for public administration. As I conclude, I wish you well during this year's Integrated Public Service Month, celebrating that, or celebration that incorporates the celebration of all government programs for the month of September. This includes the Heritage Month that celebrates our nation's diverse culture and heritage. The Tourism Month that encourages the South Africans to travel domestically to sustain jobs and support the recovery of tourism. And the National Police Commemoration Day to remember our fallen heroes and heroines. This integrated approach of the Public Service Month is important as it enables the ethos of Batupidu to permeate through our country's entire public administration system as we walk the talk of responding to the needs of our citizens and recommit ourselves to belong, to care, and to serve the people. Do you care when you serve? What is your conscience telling you? You're building or destroying the nation. You must always ask yourself that question. Or will I like my children or my parents to be treated the way I'm treating other people? Let me, in conclusion, urge you all to do the best as we walk the talk, creating a citizen-centric public service that gives everyone equal access to quality public service, just as our Constitution envisions. I thank you.